Hey YouTube, this is Magician34, and I've got the ever-popular new deck, Machina Gadgets. This is my own personal spin, so it may be a little different from what you've seen, but it gets the basic concepts and has some cool tech. So, first off, 3 Machina Fortress, pretty basic there. And to support him, of course, 3 copies of Machina Gear Frame. A lot of this is actually pretty straightforward. 2 copies of Green Gadget, 2 copies of Red Gadget, and 2 copies of Yellow Gadget. I prefer to go with 2 each of the gadgets as opposed to 3. You get a lot of extra gadgets in hand otherwise. 2 copies of Cyber Dragon, 1 copy of Scrap Recycler. He's sort of like a mini Pot of Avarice, so it's not bad. And can help you also with his other ability when you summon him, power up Pot of Avarice, like a real one. Okay, Card Trooper, obvious enough. Here's an interesting tech card. I think it is actually a very effective use. Traps are getting more and more popular all the time. Jinzo. Just 1 copy, but you get a lot of opportunities to summon him, and he can easily help you push for games sometimes. And you can always recycle him with Pot of Avarice if you want to. So, good pick, that one. And of course, he goes really well with limiter removal. Tragoedia. Lots of times you're going to get attacked over the top of your stuff. Gores, because a clean field's pretty easy in this deck. Just one more way you can kind of pound it out. And a card that all too often gets overlooked, Snipe Hunter, who also has the ability to dodge cards like Stardust Dragon because of the quote-unquote uncertainty principle of his ability. Goes really well with the gadgets, obviously, and Pot of Avarice once again. It's just more and more synergy. Plus all that, and you can priority his effect. So the fact that he's 1500 attack doesn't necessarily cause a problem with Bottomless because you're still going to possibly get that monster. So anyway, that's the monster count. Heavy Storm, MST, Cold Wave. All these things help you push through and keep killing their stuff. 2 copies, of course, of Pot of Avarice. Brain Control. Good way to help push through is just to steal stuff outright. It's a great way to get around Stardust Dragon also. 3 copies of Book of Moon. Prevents sinks. Allows you to kill stuff in combat, I mean, all kinds of things. It's pretty much become a standard issue, actually, right now. Limiter removal, of course. I do run 3 copies of Shrink. It's a great damage step trick, and you can even have a clean field during your own turn, so it doesn't make you wait an extra turn like the traps do. Very effective in this deck. Torrential Tribute. Mirror Force, you can choose to run a 3rd dimensional prison instead of Mirror Force, but I do like Mirror Force's just sheer field cleaning power, especially with the kind of MT hate we got in this deck. 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole, just works on so much stuff. 2 copies of Dimensional Prison. And last but not least, 1 copy of Royal Oppression. Use it well, time it correctly. You time it incorrectly, it's going to hurt you really badly. Time it correctly, and it should solve the game for you. So, that's the main board, 40 cards. The extra deck is a little different. The main thing of importance in there is this, Chimera Fortress, and you can opt to run 2. I'm only going to run 1, because you can POA it back, and you're probably only ever going to summon it once, realistically speaking. So, I do run 1, and all my other choices for the extra deck are just, basically the only time it's going to work is when I bring Control Tuner. So, it's a lot of 1-ofs, really. Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler. None of this is really set in stone, but they're just good standard options. Black Rose, Psychic Life Transfer, Xaber Urbellum. Because of Breeze, this might be a little bit more realistic. Blackwing Armor Master here. Goyo, Bryanak, Gaianite, Flambelodokesis, Magical Android, and Allied Justice Cataster. The basic reason in here that I did not use Tempest or Arcanite is you would have to steal a Spellcaster and then steal a Tuner, which is virtually impossible. So the only way that would happen is if your opponent actually creature swapped something to you and left it under your control. So not that likely. But anyway, so that's the deck, and until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.